After 4 nights off, really 5 nights if you consider the fact that the Bulls had a matinee game this past Sunday, but a long week's rest, Bulls got a lot of practice time in, days off to recover for those who have had some nagging injuries, and the Bulls get a bit of an easy game tonight at home against a shorthanded Charlotte Hornets team without their star in LaMelo Ball. It's been a long time since we've seen Lonzo and LaMelo play in the same game, and even though it's the first time Lonzo has been healthy and suited up to play, it just wasn't meant to be with LaMelo and his persistent injuries. But either way, the Bulls got the win, a game they should have won, I might add, even despite the fact the Bulls were without their starting center and second leading scorer Nikola Vucevic. The Bulls took care of business and held the Hornets to under 100 points. The first time all season the Bulls have been able to hold an opponent below 100 points. And they did it with team effort, guys playing by committee on both ends of the floor. It wasn't the Zach Lavine show or the Coby White show. You had 6 players in double figures and not a single player putting up more than 20 points in this game. With no Vucevic, I have to say, it was surprising to see such an evenly balanced scoring night for this team. And while I wouldn't say this was a great game offensively for the Bulls, considering they shot 40% from the field and 27% from 3 while turning the ball over 16 times, this was one of their better nights defensively for a team that has been one of the worst defensive teams in the league. 11 blocks, 12 steals for the Bulls, 11 blocks being a season high as a team for them, while also forcing 16 turnovers themselves. Jalen Smith got the start tonight, obviously, with Vucevic being out, and while he didn't have the most efficient game offensively, going 3 for 10 overall and 1 for 5 from 3, he did manage to snag 10 rebounds as well as 5 blocks. His rim protection overall was solid, much better than what we've seen from him throughout the season. It's always been weird to me that Jalen Smith isn't a better rim protector because he has the body, the frame, and the athleticism to be a great interior defender. I'm not saying he's bad on the inside when it comes to defending, you just would expect him to be better with his footwork and strength. But tonight was one of his better nights defensively, a night where the Bulls really needed him to step up with no Nikola Vucevic in the lineup. Coby White, Zach Lavine for a game where you thought they were going to be going off, being the 2 big scoring options for the Bulls. Neither shot the ball well, though, like I said, the Bulls didn't shoot well as a whole. But Zach Lavine, 4 for 11, 13 points. Coby, 6 for 15, 18 points. Zach, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. Everyone was getting steals tonight. But 5 turnovers, both him and Josh Giddey just had a lot of silly turnovers on some bad inbounds plays, traveling in the open court. That said, Zach was a plus 17 in this game, while Coby was a minus 2. So not really the best game when it comes to Zach and helping out that overall trade value, although if you caught my last video, I talked about how it's actually going to be harder to find a trade for Zach than most people think. Not because teams don't want him, but more so the challenges and limitations of the new CBA rules that are going to prevent him from getting dealt. But I'll let you guys check out that video without going into too much detail on this one. One weird conspiracy theory I kind of had, and then I promise I'll talk about the rest of this game, but Vucevic being out tonight, which was said to be an illness, was a little odd. Obviously, players get sick, it happens, but the timing of it is a little interesting. And the reason it's interesting is that, as most of you know, most players around the league become trade eligible on December 15th. For any players who recently signed with their teams over the summer, they now should be trade eligible by December 15th. Not all, but most. And then the Bulls, they don't play their next game until the 16th. So my tinfoil hat theory here, which I admit is kind of a stretch, is it possible the Bulls already have a trade deal in place for Vucevic? They just can't make the trade until the 15th, and so the Bulls sat Vucevic out for this game to avoid the risk of him getting injured. It's probably not the case, but anyway, something to think about. Also, the 2 guys that really stood out in this game were Ayo and Josh Giddey. Oh, and Lonzo, he was great as well, and I'll talk about him. But Ayo, I tweeted this during the game. But the man is having, yet again, another low-key underrated season that people aren't talking about enough, mainly the national media. He started off the season kind of slow, mainly because he was coming off the bench and his 3-ball wasn't falling, but since then, since being inserted into the starting lineup, he's been incredibly efficient on offense, he's playing defense at a high level, and he's been an underrated playmaker for the Bulls as well. Had a triple-double the other night. Tonight, 19 points on 8 for 12 shooting, 3 for 6 from deep. The only guy who shot it well from 3 in this game, I might add. 3 rebounds, 5 assists. Remember, this guy isn't even making $8 million a year. It's just insane. And then for Josh Giddey, one of his better games of the season, 17 points on 7 for 13 from the floor, actually shot the 3-ball decently well, going 3 for 8 from deep, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, 4 steals for Giddey for a team high, and the Bulls 12 steals overall. And again, something everyone likes to harp on, that box plus minus and how Giddey doesn't impact winning and he's a net negative when he's on the floor, he's actually drastically improved in some of those advanced metrics as of late and was a plus 15 in this game. I mentioned Lonzo Ball, great contributions off the bench. He had a season high tonight, his first double-digit scoring game, 10.7 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal and a block. You know, Zoe had one play where he stole the ball near midcourt while it was more of a tip, and then he outran 2 Hornets players to get the ball and then threw a lob up to Zach Lavine. You know, it's honestly incredible to me that on an entirely new knee, a knee that he wasn't born with, that he can still run like that and also just play the way he's been playing. I still need to do a dedicated video on the story of Lonzo Ball's return over on my NBA channel because it's just astonishing what he's been able to do in returning to the court and still being able to impact the game in the manner that he has been. I know the word is the Bulls are looking to try to find a trade for him, especially now they might actually be able to get something for him, but I honestly wouldn't mind it at all if the Bulls kept this guy for the long term because his IQ and ability to lead others when he's on the court is incredibly valuable, especially for these younger guys. And also, him and Josh Giddey, they play really well together when they share the court. We got to see that again tonight when they both were out there and pushing the pace in transition. Patrick Williams was back after an extended absence. It wasn't the best game for him, especially offensively. Went 1 for 7, 0 for 5 from 3, but what I like seeing from Pat was his aggression despite being out for a while. He had some really great rebounds where he was bodying guys up on the box out. Only played 14 minutes, so again, wasn't expecting much of him overall in his first game back. Hopefully, we see those minutes continue to be ramped up as the Bulls are certainly going to need his size and defense. It also wasn't a great shooting night for Buzelis, 1 for 11, yikes. He did have 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 blocks. Dude was still shooting it with confidence though, like, give him credit. He was letting it fly. It wasn't getting to him mentally with all those misses, and he was still being aggressive on offense. So anyway, the Bulls get the win. It wasn't always pretty in this game, but they close out the game that they were supposed to win. They're off for the rest of the weekend before they take on another struggling team in the Raptors over in Toronto on Monday. Until then, guys, as always, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.